wife read from his Bible, and then we're going to put it in the casket with him. When I got this for him, he went down, when he could still go downstairs, he put it on every evening, and he sat and he prayed with his prayer shawl on. So, one of the things that Dad was most concerned about was, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Dawn, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it, he wanted to make sure that the seeds he planted in each of our lives grew. And that means that he wants us to serve the Lord like he did. He wants us to know Jesus like he did. And one of the things that I shared with Kayla the other day, because of the time we got to spend with Dad over the past few days, he was so peaceful and he was so excited to see Jesus. And I told my daughter, I told Kayla, I said, if you knocked on a stranger's door that you never met before, would you feel comfortable going in that door and then them closing it? Would any of you? Especially nowadays. We wouldn't. But Pat and my dad had so much peace and excitement because he already knew the home he was going to, because he already had established a relationship with Jesus. And so that's why what Randy and I and Kayla and Tammy and Rory, Lee and Sissy saw was peace and excitement, because he already had established his relationship with the Lord. You can know about Jesus, but until you know him personally, that's when you get in. So he wants every one of you to know, and really what he really wants is for any of you that haven't made that commitment yet to get to know him. I'm gonna offer that opportunity for each one of you today, for any of you that want to say yes, because I've been a nurse for 27 years, and I never saw someone pass like my dad did. He was completely alert and was able to talk to us up till he took his last breath. That's not a normal occurrence, but the Lord gave him strength. And I'm going to read a little bit first of all, from Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament, chapter 3. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. There's a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. There's a time to kill and a time to heal. There's a time to break down and a time to build up. There's a time to weep, and that's where we're at now. And there's a time to laugh. There's a time to mourn and a time to dance. There's a time to cast away stones and a time to gather them. There's a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to loose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. There is a time to love and a time to hate. There's a time for war and a time for peace. There's a time in our lives that we fight for things, and there's times where we make peace. And Dad knew the season of his life that he was in. And so the last few days he knew it wasn't time to fight anymore. He knew that it was time for peace. And that's what we saw. We saw him fight for all these years through his disease. And the last few days when he saw the Lord, he saw Jesus. We saw that Dad was ready for that time of peace. So Dad knew what season he was in. And I don't know how many of you heard like what he experienced in the hospital, but on Monday night to Tuesday morning, at some point, before that, he was not awake and alert like he was the last couple days. But from Monday night to Tuesday morning, at some point, he saw the Lord. And the nurse came in and told me when I got there on Tuesday that he had seen Jesus. And he woke up so much at that point that he asked to sign the DNR papers and asked for hospice. He was that alert on Tuesday morning. And before that, he wasn't. So when he had that visitation from the Lord strengthened him enough that he was alert and he knew where he was going. The Lord prepared him. And so when I got there, I was not prepared at all, and it was hard at first. But the first thing Dad asked me was, what's the best way to go? And I just told him, I said, trust the Lord. And he just nodded his head. And so sometime within those few hours after I first got to the hospital, when they had told me that he had seen Jesus, I said, when he was starting to get a little bit stronger, I put my head down and I said, Dad, what did he look like? Because we all want to know. We're all curious. And he said, I didn't see his face. And then he started telling me, he said, I saw this light. And he said, and it was the bright light. And he said, and there were different variations of the bright light. And he said, and what I saw was Jesus was in the light. And he said Jesus was the light. So he didn't see the face of Jesus. But when people see the light, Jesus is the light that's in heaven. And I'm going to read a couple scriptures about the light from John, the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And the same was in the beginning with God. And all these things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. So we have that light in us, everyone who's been given life by Christ. And that light shines in darkness, and the darkness does not comprehend it. I'm going to read a little bit from chapter 8, the same book. And this is Jesus saying, this is Jesus speaking. Jesus says, I am the light of the world. He that follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. We have that same light that Dad saw in the hospital. That light lives in each believer. And that's why everywhere we go, we're called to be a light. And Dad was a light to so many people that he worked with, that knew him, his neighbors. He was a witness of that light, just like it talks about John the Baptist was. So as a believer, we're called to be a light. Each one of us, we have that opportunity everywhere we go to be a light. I'm going to read one more. And it's Matthew chapter 5, and it is the Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek or the humble. And Dad learned humility these last few years. He told me, we talked about it. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they will be filled. And righteousness is our right standing relationship with God. And Dad has been filled with that, and he's in the fullness of it now. Blessed are the merciful, for they will obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. And we already know that he did, even before he left here. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are they who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I'm going to skip a little bit. Verse 12, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, Dad, for great is your reward in heaven. You are the light of the world. Now each one of us is a believer. Jesus is saying, we are the light of the world. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. And that's what we're called to do. And so what I would like to do, any one of you that would like to have that relationship like we saw Dad with Jesus, is there anybody that would like to step forward and say, I want what Pap or what my dad, I saw with my dad? And even if you already know him, any of you are willing to say, I don't know him like that, but I want to? Anybody? Nobody? Pap, that's what Pap wants. What he was so concerned about, my dad, your grandfather, was that he saw each one of us again. And you can't see Pap until you accept Jesus. And you all have that choice to make. And it's not just about saying a prayer, it's about entering into a relationship. And this is what happened to Pap. Do you know why he started reading the Bible? Does anybody know? He wanted to know if the fruit that Eve ate was an apple. He started studying the Bible, wanted to know that answer, and he fell in love with Jesus because Jesus is the Word. This book is alive, and it changes people. And you each have seen the change it has made in my life. And I want for each of you to know Jesus like Dad did, so that when you are called, that you're going to pass just like he did. No suffering, complete peace and excitement, that you're going to know him face to face. And that's all I've got to say. I love you guys. So we can all, I guess, come up and say bye to Pap. You guys ready? Come on, kids. guys saw, but on one side it has the Lord's Prayer, and then on the other side it's in the Hebrew. And Pat loved this. Go ahead, I had little markers in here, so I need to take out before I put this down.